Father Tom.
Son, how are you?
Hello, Dad.
Hello, son.
Well, I'm not going to ask you how you are because I know your money.
And there he'll be in the T-Mobile ads. Now he'll have a drug driving attorney in his Fave 5.
Wow! I don't know what you said, but I want to do you.
This guy just called you, and you told him those kind of things. You don't like women?
I love women. Everyone should own one.
Okay. I hate that no-good, self-grandizing, narcissistic son of a you-know-what. Because he has to throw one more interception. He screws my Patriots out of a spot. I hate him. I want him to be castrated. I want him to go through the New York transit system so we can take care of him. He is the biggest piece of crap. I just want to see him on the subway once. Just once. You don't have to worry about him being benched because he won't have an ass to sit in a bench.
And honestly, I don't want to watch a person that can't really even read what he's supposed to be reading. Or even, I guess, pronunciate it. So he has the opportunity to be able to pass on the torch to who he wants and create a new era. So why doesn't he do that and, just choose to do it that way?
To somebody who pronunciates properly. Absolutely. He's calling in about what we would call the reality show involving evicting Fantasia from her house. Al, what would we be calling that?
We're going to be calling that Bye-Bye Burrito.
Bye-Bye Burrito.
I'm going to make this short because there really isn't much else to say. If the Dodgers not sign Manny Ramirez, I will cease to be a Dodger fan.
There are places in East LA where if you go order in English, they look at you funny. They look at you like, who is this person speaking English? You know what I mean? I've gotten into fights with people where I'm like, hey, can I get 2 carne asada tacos? ¿Qué quieres? Bro, we're in America, dude. Just because it's Olympic Boulevard, it doesn't mean you don't understand carne asada tacos, bro. Can I get 2 of them? I know you know what 2 carne asada... There's an Asian guy right there. He ordered in Spanish. Is that what you're telling me?
I just recently became a Dodger fan. I don't know very much.
All right, well, read a paper. Okay, ask your dad about it, the newspaper. They're available everywhere. Look, someone else wants to call in with a name for the show now. Christy, what would you call that show?
I might call it Deadbeat Diva.
Oh, God, I love this job.
From Hollywood.
This is a portable breath test.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. And now, here he is, Tom Leykis.
Wide open telephones on the Tom Leykis Show. Anything goes, anything at all. We can talk about anything that's on your mind. It could be anything we discussed on the air this week, anything you think we should have talked about. Call up, yell, scream, complain, jump up and down. It's all fair game as long as you're absolutely fascinating. If you're not, our screener kicks your ass right off the telephone. It's 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number, 1-800-5800-866. This is Ty on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom.
Ty.
How you doing, Tom?
Great.
Tom, I'm a little under the weather, but Tom, this is the thing I think that slid under the radar this week was the guy who dressed up as Santa and went and destroyed that family. Even though I know it was a tragedy, but we need to look deeper than that what drove that man over the edge.
Now, for people who don't remember that story, of course, happened during the holidays. This was a man who had just been through a divorce. His name was Bruce Pardo.
Yes.
And his ex-wife, Sylvia, was having Christmas Eve, I believe it was, with her family, which included her parents and her kids and, some of the nieces and nephews or what have you. They were all over the house, and Santa Claus showed up at the front door, who was really the now ex-husband. And I think he shot an 8-year-old girl in the face, allegedly.
Yeah,
and
he sure did.
Say allegedly, he's dead now. Shot an 8-year-old girl in the face, and then he set the place on fire.
Exactly.
Right.
But the twist that they put on it, they were just concentrating on more on the things that he had done throughout the relationship, like he had an illegitimate son and he had kept that away from the wife. I mean, they put the spin more on on things that were going wrong with him instead of the whole issue. He got nothing. He lost the house. He lost the car. He lost the wedding ring, the dog. He lost everything. It just drove him over the edge, Tom.
Well, I think you're right to bring that up. Again, nobody deserves to be shot. Certainly not a little girl. Nobody deserves to die in a terrible fire.
I agree.
None of the people deserved what they got. Let me make that very clear.
I agree, Tom.
But when you push a man to the edge and you take everything he's got... By the way, the illegitimate child he had was from years before he met the woman who he married.
Exactly.
This did not happen during the marriage. It had happened years before. And they had an argument because he was claiming this child as a deduction on his taxes, and his wife wanted him to stop doing it, and he said no.
Exactly.
That's what the reports say. That's it, and so they split. But nobody deserved what they got. Nobody deserves to be burned or shot or horrible, horrible. But it's like I always say, when you push a man to the edge, a man who recently lost his job, a man who has nothing to lose, this is a possible outcome. And it has to be said, this is a possible outcome. So, ladies, when you're bragging to your friends and cackling to the other cluckers out there about how you took your man for everything he's worth, most cases you'll get away with it.
Thank you, Tom.
Sometimes you've pushed the guy. You're right, Ty. Sometimes you've pushed a man over the edge, and this could be the result. And you ought to look at this event and think twice before you try to take every last penny a man has, because then what does he have to lose?
Thank you. Tom, take me out Shaq style, and you have a beautiful weekend, okay?
All right, Ty. Here you go.
Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes. Okay, everybody. Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes.
1-800-5800-TOM. Yeah, we never got a chance to talk about that story about Bruce and Sylvia Pardo and the Ortega family who, just many members of that family just burned beyond recognition. They had to get dental records to identify them. Horrible. Well, people didn't deserve what they got. Nobody deserved what they got. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Really bad. If anybody happens to be listening who knows any members of that family, my sympathy goes out to you. It does. I'm not being facetious. I'm horrible. Just imagining what that must be like. I was reading the story of some of those folks. It's so tragic. But you got to think twice before you take everything a man has, because this is a possible outcome, like it or not. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. It's Philip on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
How you doing, Father?
Doing okay, son.
Well, I just want to talk about this IOUs we'll be getting from the state tax refund.
Yes.
I'm wondering if it's possible that I can actually send them an IOU for the probably about $2,000 I'm going to owe them.
I think that would be perfectly fair. I had just said that off the air yesterday. For people who don't live in California, maybe you're listening online or somewhere else. Yes, indeed, the state of California is so broke and they can't get a budget to cobble together between the state legislature and Governor Schwarzenegger that they haven't made the decision yet, but the treasurer of the state of California has said they may have to send out IOUs instead of tax refund checks. Yeah. And I agree with you. If the state could send you an IOU, why shouldn't you be able to send them an IOU?
I'm starting to wonder if we would have been better off with Gray Davis.
I think what it shows is it doesn't matter who's in charge.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't matter who's in charge. This state is a mess. It's a mess. We love it. We love living here. There's too many of us here. And we cannot govern ourselves. It's really tragic.
There's too many Latinas here. That's why I won't leave.
That's certainly a good reason to stay, Philip. I'll tell you that. 1-800-5800-TOM. It's wide open telephones on the Tom Leykis Show. Here is Steve on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Listen, I have a couple things I have to get off my chest. One of them is along the lines of what the previous caller just said, the $700 billion tax bailout. from what I understand, a lot of this money is going towards executive compensation. It makes me not want to pay my taxes because that's my tax money I'm giving to these guys.
Yeah, well, there were very few restrictions put on that money, and
no one knows where it's going.
That was the biggest heist in history. They talk about bank robberies where people get $10,000 or $50,000 or $250,000. Our country was fleeced for $700 billion.
And that's just the start.
Well, by the way, this was supposedly going to unfreeze credit. It was going to make it possible for banks to lend again. And they did not require the banks to lend out the money.
But no one knows where this money's going. That's what's really pissing me off.
They took the money, and even if they're just borrowing it, they're getting really favorable terms on it, and they can use the money to pay executives. They can use the money to buy competitors, buy up the branches of competitors. They can do anything they want with that money, and there's nothing stopping them.
It's a joke, you know? It makes me not want to pay my taxes.
But you see, they do it because they know the average American isn't paying any attention and will not complain and will not make a stink.
Oh, just annoying. I'm going to move to Australia.
Thank you for that.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. The Tom Leykis Show.
It's the Tom Leykis Show. Now with shorter commercial breaks than ever. Did you notice? You didn't? Come on. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Wide open telephones on this Friday. By the way, Charles Barkley. Did you see Charles Barkley taking a leave from inside the NBA? And says here that test results show that Barkley in his DUI incident had a blood alcohol content of 0.149, nearly twice the legal limit of 0.08 in Arizona. So he'll be off the air for a minimum of several weeks, and no return date has been set. Now, what is not clear here is whether TNT put a gun to his head and made him take a leave of absence. They're not calling it a suspension. So you got to wonder what's going on here. Is he going into rehab? Do we really want Charles Barkley post-rehab? Charles Barkley, the 12-stepper? No, we don't. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Let's say hello here to Matt on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Tom, it's 2009, and I think it's about time we ask this question as a species. What do we do with all of the idiots? They're ruining the world for us. They're ruining this country by taking out mortgages that they can't pay. They're giving out mortgages that they know people can't pay. You have newscasters who teach you, instead of giving you real news or real journalism, they tell you how to avoid coyote attacks, or like how to avoid getting salmonella by telling you just wash your vegetables, like stupid things like that. Like, I feel like our country is so dumbed down, and like the average person, or not the average person, but I'd say maybe like 20% of the people in this country are really not worth like feeding. Like, what do we do with these people who are ruining it for all of us? Well,
unfortunately, when you use the word liberty, that means you are free to be an idiot, among other things. Now, I do believe that we're going in the opposite direction of where you want to go. We are rewarding idiots by bailing them out of the mortgages they knew they couldn't afford to pay.
Yes.
Keeping them from being foreclosed upon.
Yes.
And we are, of course, bailing them out when they incur all other kinds of debt that they should have known better. But, I mean, come on. You borrow money. The intention is that you are going to pay it back. And if you're the average weasel with an average IQ, chances are that 5 years from today, you're not going to be making much more than you're making today.
I mean, what about all these people who have children and, like, they can't even afford to, like, support themselves, and, like, they have to rely on the state, and the state takes away money from successful people who work their butt off and go to school and try to raise their own kids. The worst one is when the state takes money away from guys they accuse of being fathers of children, and they're not the fathers of the children. Well, a lot of them are, but, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just saying, like, for the ones that are, like, that's totally screwed that they would take money from, like, a good family and redistribute it to other people so they can, like, keep having kids and keep getting welfare checks. And, like, it ruins this country. Economically, like, it's terrible. Like, we should let dumb people die off.
Thank you so much for that. Hunter on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, hello. How's it going, Tom?
It's going great.
So I got a little concern for you here. It's not necessarily regarding the economy. It's more a personal issue here. I bought my girlfriend the Sex and the City like complete series. You know, for Christmas. Yes, I know.
What were you thinking?
I don't know what the hell I was thinking. But I got it for Christmas, and she recently got laid off from her job, so I guess it's sort of economy-oriented. But you know, since she started watching this, which is like 9 seasons or something, she hasn't really been spending any time with me, and due to the job loss, she's kind of spending a lot of time in bed, and not in the good way, if you know what I mean.
Buzzing away? Is she buzzing away?
She's just not the same. You know, she's gaining a little bit of weight as well, and it's sort of, I don't know. It's not bad, but, you know, things aren't the same, and I'm wondering what I should do here.
Well, 21, I don't know what you're doing with a girlfriend. Let's start with that.
I know.
Well,
I know.
Then the answer is clear.
What's the answer?
Give her the boot.
Give her the boot. Oh, man, but she's living with me, man.
Why did you do that?
You know, sometimes you gotta feed the beast.
No, you feed the beast. You go in like you're renting a car from Avis. Come on.
I know.
You rent it for the weekend. You put out a few cigarette butts in there. You go for a few speed bumps, and you bring it back.
Right. Should I dump it in?
Of course.
All right. Thanks, man.
Let her take her DVDs and go look for Mr. Big.
Yeah, exactly. Go look for Mr. Big. I'm Mr. Big Time over here. Hey, Tom, can you pull me up?
By the way, it sounds like she's on her way to becoming Mrs. Big Ass, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right. I just love your advice, man. Thanks.
Thank you, Hunter. Appreciate the call. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Let's say hello here to Robert on the Tom Leykis Show.
Good afternoon, Tom.
Yes.
Hey, a little story for you. I actually just now got out of my Friday meeting layoff at our company. I'm in the construction supply material, and luckily I made it through, but it did make it very clear that it was quite likely pending. And I called in to my dad and kind of told him what had happened. And he is investing currently in property, and he's kind of been a developer throughout his life. He's always done very well. And he applied for a loan this week, and the bank denied him for the loan, not on the basis of his credit, but they will no longer give people more than 5 loans at a time. And what this means is for developers and different people that are, you know, adding to the economy to actually pay out their loans, they can't get the money because there's this new stipulation that banks have where they won't loan it out. So what happens is bailout in order so banks could loan out money again. Obviously,
well, maybe there are other ways. For example, does your dad have an attorney? Perhaps if he formed like an LLC or formed some kind of a corporation. And maybe he forms a second corporation, and that corporation gets 5 loans.
Maybe there's a way to do it, but on the same basis, this is something he's previously able to do.
I understand that. You have to understand that, you know, we're heading for what one person calls the next Great Depression.
Well,
and
not lending out money is certainly not going to help anybody. It's only going to perpetuate the situation.
Right. Well, but here's the deal. It's like my recommendation to your dad would be talk to the attorney and see what alternatives are available.
Yeah, well, I'm in the construction industry, and just hearing news like that definitely doesn't forebode well for my future either, and it's pretty depressing and scary just seeing the way economies...
Did you get yourself an education at least? Did you get a degree for yourself?
Thank you.
I'm sorry, your phone cut out.
Yeah, I have a bachelor's degree. I graduated from college. So.
What was your major?
It was history. I thought it was going to be a...
History. Now it's time to go back and get a second degree, son, in something that will be converted into cashola.
Exactly. Well, we'll see what happens, but...
I take that as a no. All right. I take that as a no. 1-800-5800-TOM is our telephone number. Wide open telephones on this Friday. Your telephone call is coming up next.
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. The Tom Leykis Show.
It's the Tom Leykis Show, Friday wide open telephones. We take a lot more calls now. We rip through the calls faster. That means a better shot for you to get in. Dial now. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Victor on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon, Tom.
Hey.
How you doing?
Great.
Hey, I wanted to get your thoughts on the porn industry asking for a $3 billion bailout.
Come on, that's not serious, and you know it.
I know that. I'm just saying.
Well, then why do you ask me what I think about it? You know it's not serious. You know it's just to get some attention.
Oh, I know that. I just thought it was funny the first time I saw it.
Yeah,
when I first had heard about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, honestly, that's a company that really needs a bailout. I mean, if you honestly think about it.
Well, again, it is satire.
Right.
Clearly, nobody expects to get a bailout for pornography.
Yeah, that's true. I guess we're all attention whores, though.
I guess you're right. 1-800-5800-TOM, including you. 1-800-5800-TOM, that's our telephone number. Let's say hello here to Mike on the Tom Leykis Show.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing?
Great.
I haven't tuned into your show since I listened online, and it's been 3 months, but you started talking about the Pardo gentleman who killed his ex-wife and their family. A buddy of mine is heading to jail for about a 3-year stint for supposedly he's accused of sexually assaulting his wife.
Did he?
No, I don't know the details of it, but the short and narrow of it is that he's got kids, and if he goes to trial and is found guilty, he will have to register.
Right. But you still let's get down to what he actually did. What did he do?
She was while they had a rocky marriage. She was cheating on him behind his back, and but at the same time, she still maintained relations with him. So he was under the impression that his marriage was okay and going to work out. And then one day she just decided, no, this marriage was never going to work out, and I would just keep me around for a little while. He apparently got liquored up a little, and they had an argument. Next thing you know, the police came out, and
I ask you again, did he sexually assault his wife?
According to him, he said no.
So you say he didn't have sex with her?
Not in the instance that she accused him of the so-called attempted rape.
Well, you see, this goes back to what I always say on this program when people ask me for advice. And that is, when you have a rocky marriage, it's time to go. Mm-hmm. Because these are the kinds of things that can happen.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's stupid to stay around if you've had problems in the marriage. If you're not in therapy, if it isn't getting fixed, if it isn't on the way up, you have to get out.
He had kids, and he was pretty much, I guess, hoping that it would work out.
Hope?
Well, it's not me. It's him.
Yeah,
so
I'm just a message for the guys out there. Stop with the hope. Stop being a dope.
Yeah, and so he's going to go away for 2 years. And, well, he might get off because the state of California can't afford to keep him in there, so he's probably a low risk. So we're kind of hoping when he's supposed to turn himself in at the end of the month, they'll just let him go free. And
then what happens to his child custody? Probably gone?
No, what happened was if he went to trial and was found guilty, because he would have to register as a sex offender, he did a plea that would allow him to see his kids. And with 2 years, he hoped to get out early. So he's hoping that was his recommended.
I'm glad you told this story, because it's a reminder to all the guys out there in lousy marriages, leave today.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor, Tom?
What?
In honor of him, can you take me out Freddie Wilhouse style? And
Freddie Wilhouse.
And because I'm jealous of all your success, I have to ask you, and I haven't heard it in a while, to take me out with Private Dancer also.
Oh, boy, you had to ruin my day. All right.
I shot my wife in the stomach with 38.
Why did you do this?
She enticed me, and she ridiculed me throughout my lifetime. I'll see if she's alive. She's alive? Yeah. I think she's dead.
Still the worst song ever recorded, yes. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Gilbert on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, Gilbert.
Tom, here, I have a story for you here. Did you hear about the Dr. Craig Allen Bittner who ran the Beverly Hills liposculpture clinic there in Beverly Hills?
This is the guy, let me see if I remember the story. This is the guy who took all that ugly, gooey fat out of women and then ran a car on it.
Right, he used it to power his Ford SUV.
Yes.
Well, there you go. He just developed
that's one tailpipe I wouldn't want to stand behind.
But we certainly have a new perspective to look at fatties now. You know, fatties have a new use in life. I mean, Tom, you can take them to any buffet, hometown buffet, and say, "Fill up, honey," because you know she's going to power you home afterwards. It'll reduce your fuel bill, huh?
Of course, how many Cinnabons would you have to put in to get that kind of output?
Well, according to the article, it says a gallon of grease will get you about a gallon of fuel.
Really? Oh,
yes.
my. I'm going to keep that in mind. I appreciate that. I'm glad you reminded me of that story. It's true. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Let's say hello here to David on the Tom Leykis show.
Hey, Tom, how's it going?
It's going okay, Dave.
Good. First-time caller. I have a question. A couple of weeks ago in the state during Christmas vacation for you, but I heard on your show, one of your promos, you had said something to the fact of, and I apologize if it's not word for word, but you said something to the fact of that the gay community did a disservice to themselves by being invested as they were in Prop 8. Do you remember saying something like that?
Well, that's not exactly what I said. In fact, what I said specifically was I was criticizing the people in the gay community who tried to ruin the business of the El Coyote Mexican restaurant.
Okay, I remember that one, but I guess it was just a short clip, and that's all I heard. So I was just
keep in mind, I was an opponent of Prop 8, a vocal one on this program.
Oh, I know, and I listened to you. I know you support the gay community, but like I said, I just heard that short clip. I was like, oh, I wonder what Tom meant. So...
Yeah, well, again, that was in reference, I'm sure, to the El Coyote incidents. I personally, I don't believe that whatever happened to El Coyote deserved the reaction it got.
No, it didn't, and I totally agree with you. All right, well, Tom, I appreciate it. Can you blow me up?
Yes, I certainly can. Here you go. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. It's Jeremy on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hey, Tom. It's great to talk to you.
I know.
Hey, just wanted to tell you about something that might make you proud. I've been listening to you for a couple of years now. You helped me get out of a 3-year relationship when I was 19.
Wow.
I did make another mistake and was single for about 6 months, and towards the end I started dating a girl that I saw when I was out and about, and you know, she saw what I was doing, and that was a big mistake to stick around with a girl that saw me in single life. Basically ended up with her for 2 years and realized it was going nowhere, and I have no intentions on getting married anyway, so why the hell do I have a girlfriend and it's time to be single again? So I DTP'd her yesterday.
Very good. Now, did she nag you about getting married?
She didn't nag me about it, but every few months it seems like there's a little more controlling aspects to the relationship. You know, telling me that she doesn't want me going to a friend's bachelor party in Vegas, things like that. There's no way I'm going to hold myself back or let someone control my life like that.
Good for you. Now, will you remember this and not get yourself into still another stupid relationship? You are wasting your youth when you should be out there banging everything that moves.
You're right. I'm 23 years old. I'm a licensed paramedic, and I'm not going to stop going to school, and I'm going to stay single as long as possible.
As long as possible is forever.
All right. Forever.
That's as long as possible. When you say as long as possible, what you're saying is until someone else who's irresistible comes along, and then I just can't resist. I have to be in a relationship with him.
I'm not going to do it, Tom. I'm going to stay strong.
Please remember what happened here.
Well, it's important. I definitely will.
Yes, it is. Joy on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hello. How are you today?
Great.
Good. I heard you talking to the young man that had mentioned that he had a degree in history. You told him to go back to school and get a degree in something that was going to bring in some cha-ching.
Yeah, some cashola.
I was curious as to what you thought those areas might be.
Well, here's the ones they aren't, okay? English literature, psychology, history, political science. You see where I'm going with this? Poetry, art, culinary arts. You hear what I'm talking about here? Philosophy?
I hear you, yeah. I hear you.
These are all the things people go to school. All they're doing is it's mental masturbation. That's all it is. They go to school. They go, I'm going to college. Yeah, I'm studying nothing that's going to help me in the future. That's what I'm studying.
Actually, I'm a 45-year-old female that's been a singer and an actress, and I'm thinking about going back to school, and I want to do something to prepare myself for a future so I'd have money in retirement.
Well, I think that's a great idea. I think, certainly business degrees are good. I think knowing about the workings of business, how to start, how to run, how to manage a business is valuable. I also believe that we are in the era still of technology, and I do believe that in the future, when the economy improves, technology is certainly not going to stop its relentless march. And we're going to continue to develop more gadgets. Did you see in the newspaper all the flat screens that are coming out? 3D flat screens that have embedded Internet access. I mean, this stuff is what's exciting. Anything having to do, again, as usual, with website design, that's not going away.
Yes, I agree with you there.
But it's got to be something that you can convert into money.
Please. Well, thank you very much for your advice. And can you give me a booyah?
Who do you think I am, Jim Cramer?
Tom Leykis. 1-800-5800-TOM. 1-800-5800-866. The Tom Leykis Show.
From Hollywood, it's the Tom Leykis Show with wide open telephones. 1-800-5800-TOM. Eddie on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
I just want to start off real quick, let you know, man, I've been listening to your show for a long time, and you helped me get out of an abusive 3-year relationship.
How did I do that?
Well, I met this girl about 3 years back, and I just started talking to her, and I kind of went against your Leykis 101 and tried to chance it, and it just, it started off real bad. And every day that I would take her to work and take her to her mother's and stuff like that, I would listen to your show, and every time I turned it to the dial, she literally just slapped me in the face while I would listen to it and tell me to turn it off. And she offered, she would threaten to, like, withhold sex from me if I had stopped listening to the show. If I didn't stop, and just, she'd hit me. Everything, especially when, and a lot of the times it just had to do when I was driving. You know what I mean? And every time I go to work, I throw your show on or whatever, and I just listen to the words that you said. You know what I mean? And then I called her up one day, and I just called her up, and I just tore her a new one and told her I wasn't going to take it anymore. And she's like, "You ain't going to leave me. You ain't going to leave me." And she says, "Well, you know what? We need to get married first." So I remembered your words, and I was just like, "Nah, I'm cool." I was like, "Nah, it's all right." And then she ended up saying that she was going to leave. So when I told her to go ahead and leave, she punched me in the face.
What?
Yeah, she punched me right in the face.
Why would you tolerate that even once?
No, well, that was what did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but she had slapped you before.
Well, yeah, she was even before, but I was stupid, and I thought I was in love and everything, and,
But the minute someone slaps you in the face, that should be, like literally a slap in the face. That should tell you that this is not love, that you're enjoying being abused.
Yeah, and you know what? And I wasn't really smart about anything. You know what I mean? And like I said, I ignored your words, and finally I just said, you know what? Forget this. And when I told her I was going to leave, you know, that's when she got up and she just wanted to get in my face and stuff. She's like, "Go ahead and be with your father. Go ahead and be with your father." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Go ahead and be with your precious Tom." I said, all right. So then I packed my stuff, and I just bumped out, and that was it.
Yeah, you're not going to move in with anybody again, are you, Eddie?
No, I learned my lesson, man. I learned my lesson. And
now, by the way, I had told you, and you knew. But you thought you knew more than I did, didn't you?
I thought I did, but, you know, I was put in my place that day.
All right.
You know, and then back in the time when I'd listen to you on those Fridays, you know, I'd come home with my lights on, and I'd call her up and I'd tell her to come outside so that way she would know that I was listening to you, you know, for the Fridays.
Uh-huh.
And every time, what girl were you looking at, and what girl flashed themselves and stuff like that, and it was great just to see her get angry because she knew I was listening to you, you know what I mean?
But then she slapped you or hit you later on, and really, that's a very bad cycle to get into, and it's one you want to get out of, and you never, ever, ever tolerate that. But there's a zero-tolerance policy on that. When someone does that once, you're out. That includes dating or anything. All right. You think about that. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Kevin on the Tom Leykis Show. Hello.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Hey, what do you think about this one? The economy is so to hell. My sister is an escort. I found out she basically is a prostitute.
How did you find out?
Well, she always would flash around money and always have so many places to go, Italy, you know, so many places, and she never really seemed to work. It was all just party. And so some of my brothers would ask her, you know, hey, you know, what are you doing now? Where do you get all this money that you're, you know, flashing around and you're getting all this, you know, Gucci stuff? And, well, come to find out, I had a one-on-one talk with her, and she had basically came out and told me what she's doing, and she basically said she's a body painter and a stripper, and she actually is an escort.
An escort.
So what would you do in a situation like that, Tom? Would you try to talk to her? And
well, you already did.
Well, yeah, right, I did, but do you think there's something I can do?
Is she an adult?
Yeah, she's 27.
Nothing you can do. You talk to her, you can talk to her all you like, but clearly, she's made a decision, just like you make decisions about your own life.
Right. Do you think it's wrong morally?
I don't know. Here's my deal. It's illegal in the state of California.
Correct.
But I am in favor of people having the right to be prostitutes. I don't have a moral issue with that. The fact is that women sell their sexuality in any number of ways. They pose naked. They work as models, and they wear clothing. They appear in TV commercials. They sell their body in any number of ways. Men sell their bodies not just at Chippendales and not just as gigolos.
Right.
Men sell their bodies when they work as construction workers. And then they get to be 45 years old, and they can't lift anything anymore.
They're using that with the purpose of working, but she's just basically abusing her body.
Yeah, well, again, people abuse their body in any number of ways. Drugs, alcohol.
Right.
Right?
That's true. You got a point there.
I'll bet you do some of those things.
Alcohol, but not to an extreme.
Well, people eat too much. I mean, people do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So you're really not in a position to be critical.
So, like, if you found out your sister did something like that, what would you do personally, if you don't mind me asking?
I'd be there if she needed someone to talk to.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
Okay. All right.
That's what I would do. I would tell her if you ever get in trouble or you feel like you need to talk to someone, I'm here. I don't think it's good for you, but I can't tell you what to do. But be sure to come to me if you need someone to talk to.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. She's an adult.
That's true. I hear you. That's true.
And by the way, there are many women who are not prostitutes who sleep with everybody in the neighborhood. They're abusing their body the exact same way.
Right. And, I mean, but, so you don't really...
Taking money for it doesn't abuse your body any more than not taking money for it.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, go...
Take me on number 9.
Who's coaching you? No. Tell your friend to call. I hate when they do that. The guy's like whispering everything into his ear that he's supposed to say. By the way, it was the other guy's sister who's the prostitute. Oh, you gotta call. 1-800-5800-TOM. That's our telephone number. Michelle on the Tom Leykis show. Hello.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Doing great.
I just wanted to comment about the bailout. I agree with a lot of what the callers are saying. My first concern was when George Bush was saying that we absolutely had to do this. That should have been a huge red flag, that if he's saying this is something that needs to be done, it's obviously going to be a complete disaster.
Right.
Second of all, if all of the banks now supposedly have more money to lend, who are they supposed to lend it to when people are losing their jobs, losing, 500,000 jobs in December? So it doesn't matter if the banks supposedly have all this money that they're going to lend. That other caller who had the father...
Well, one example is people who were promised that if they didn't like the terms of their home loan, they would be able to refinance.
True.
That's
yes.
one example.
Right. Now, I'm in the mortgage industry, and I work with a broker that only refinances clients that can prove their income. So, it is kind of frustrating when you hear about people. There were some people that knowingly got into loans that they knew they couldn't afford, and there were other people that were victims of predatory lenders and unscrupulous loan officers.
But even you benefited from that.
Well, the loan officers and the banks did. And some of the people that knew what they were getting into, knew that they were getting into homes and refinancing and pulling out money.
But just that whole fad of everybody buying houses. Buying houses and condos and,
right.
and what have you. You benefited from that indirectly, but you benefited too.
No, I did. And that's something that I struggle with because, again, the broker that I work with is on the up and up, is very straightforward, only deals, again, with clients that can prove their income, that can show their pay stubs and can show their tax returns and whatnot. So, it's kind of like, car salesman. Now we're lumped into this group, and I completely understand.
It's awful what's happening out there.
The Tom Leykis Show.